Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we are going to be doing some of the lesson problems. So I've got the lesson pulled up right here, and starting off with problem number 1, we're going to be creating our first function, which is this greet function, and it's going to display hello world. So hopefully you follow the directions from here about creating the folder. There's no starter code today, so we're going to be creating each file from scratch. So let me do that right away. I've got problem1.html. I'm going to generate the starter text for HTML using left angle bracket HT tab. Now that I've got my starter text, the basic HTML structure, inside of the body I'm going to import the AP Tools expansion pack. So I have the toolbox loaded up, and the AP Tools expansion pack is this line of code right here. So copy it, paste it. Below that I'm going to create my own script tags. So script. And now in here, I'm going to be building our first function. So whenever we want to define a function, JavaScript has a procedure for doing this, a set of syntax that does that. So I actually put that syntax into the toolbox. To define a function, you basically use this. So I'm going to copy and paste all of this from the toolbox using Command-C, and then pretty paste into my code Command-Shift-V. And this is sort of like the most general structure for a function. So if I look back at problem number 1, code along with the video to create a function called greet. So I'm going to replace name a function with the word greet. I'm also going to, I notice that the parentheses here are empty, so I'm going to delete all these parameters that I could possibly have. So basically the function greet is going to be whatever this procedure is. So I guess for my procedure here, I'm going to have it display hello. So display is one of those functions that we actually use quite often. So I'm just going to copy and paste display from the toolbox, and then it's supposed to display hello world. So I'm going to save this program, and I'm going to open it in my browser. So control click, open in browser. And I notice that nothing happens. Hello world is not displayed. And the reason why is there's 2 steps to using a function. The first thing you have to do is create the function, which is basically teaching the computer what it means to greet someone. Then the next thing you have to do is you actually have to use this function. So to use this function, you type the name of the function and then the parentheses. Sometimes you'll have to put parameters in here, but because our function doesn't use any parameters, we leave those empty. So now what this is done is it's called calling the function, or call the function. So now if we refresh the screen, we've defined what it means to greet someone, and then we've greeted them. And the nice thing about having this abstraction to greet someone is that you can greet however many times you want. So if I greet again and again, it should actually greet 3 times in a row, and it does. And this is really nice because even if I forget, the specifics of how this function works, I just can remember that all it is a greeting. Now, even though the problem doesn't go here, you could actually have it do a ton of different lines of code. You could have it display hello world, display hi, display whoa, I don't know, a bunch of random things. And now when I call the function, instead of executing just the single line of code here, it will actually go through the whole procedure, this one, and this one. So let's see what greet does now. Hello world, hi, whoa. And each time we call greet, it will do all 3 of those things. All right, that's problem number 1. So let's take a look now at problem number 2. So problem number 2, you actually have to do on your own. So pause the video here and come back to it. For problem number 3, code along with the video to create a function called greet2, and this one actually has a parameter name, and it's going to display hello plus whatever name is in the parameter. So to do this, I'm going to actually make a new file. I'm going to save it as problem3. You should have done this for problem 2 already, problem3.html. To save me some time, I'm going to copy and paste problem 1 over here, and then I'm going to delete everything from inside the script tags. So now I've got the expansion pack, I've got the HTML structure, I'm ready to go. I'm going to open this in the browser by doing control click, open in browser. Nothing happens because there's nothing in the JavaScript. So now this time greet2 is a little bit more complicated, but we're still creating a function. So I go to my toolbox, Whenever I want to define or create a function, a procedure, I go here and I grab that text. All right, now the name of this function is supposed to be greet2, so I'm going to change that from the general thing to greet2. This one actually gets one parameter, so inside the parentheses, instead of leaving it blank this time, I'm going to put the parameter name. And the reason why we want to have a name here is we want to be able to greet specific people. This time what we want to do is we want to display, so I'm going to go into here, grab the display function, and what we want to display is hello plus whatever name was inputted into the function. So name actually is a variable that's going to stand for whatever we put in the parentheses here. And now every time we see name inside the procedure, it's going to take that name and put it here. So let's see what happens when we run this program. I'm just going to refresh problem3.html, nothing happens. And the reason why is I've taught it how to greet2, so I've defined the meaning of greet2, but I haven't ever used it. So to use this procedure, we write greet2 and then whatever name we want to greet. So I want to greet Carrie. So let's see what happens. Hello, Carrie. If below that I use greet2 and I greet my brother, Alex, it should say hello, Alex. If I use greet2 and I say hello to my dog, Sky, it will say hello, Sky. And you can imagine that there's much more complex versions of this. Something like maybe logging into social media. If you were to log into Instagram or Facebook, it might like look at which profile is logging in, and regardless of which profile is logging in, it would display sort of the equivalent version of that for that person. So maybe instead of saying hello Carrie, it would say like Carrie's profile or Carrie's pictures for Instagram or something, and then it would have all of my pictures appear. Some other function would generate that. We may be actually doing that with Pictogram tomorrow. So yeah. All right, so continuing on with the lesson. For problem 4, converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit is a common problem you may have while traveling and looking at the temperature in the future. So I have this problem all the time when I'm traveling. A lot of internet programs will do this for you nowadays where it will convert it automatically, but you may not actually have service when you're traveling. So maybe you want to write a computer code to convert from degrees to Celsius, or degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. So please do part A on your own. For part B, code along with the video to create a function convert temp that converts from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so this is the part that we got to do in the video. So Command N, make it a new file. I'm going to save it as problem4.html. To generate the basic HTML structure, probably the easiest way is just copy and paste one of my previous files here. Now the only thing that's going to change is I want the basic structure, I want the expansion pack, the JavaScript is going to be completely different. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to close down these two and I'm going to control click and open this program in the browser. All right, so nothing happens, which is good. Next up, we need to define what it means to convert the temperature from Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. So here we go. To create this new procedure, we're defining a new function. The name of this function is supposed to be convert temp. So I'm going to change that to convert temp. I need to plug in a temperature in Celsius. So I'm going to call that variable Celsius. Now, what I want to do is I want to start off by displaying what the Celsius temperature is. So I'm going to take display, and I'm going to display the temperature in Celsius is plus whatever variable they plug into the function, Celsius. I'm going to put a colon here. Now I'd also like to display the temperature in Fahrenheit, but in order to do this, I've got to calculate that. So let's create a new variable. Let Fahrenheit equal, and I've got to Google the formula actually, formula for Celsius to Fahrenheit. And I'm going to go to images, and it looks like the formula is Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times Celsius. And I've got to use the code word Celsius because I called it not C, I called it Celsius in the problem, plus 32. And then I'd like to display the temperature in, the temperature in Fahrenheit is this new number, Fahrenheit. All right, so let's see if this works. So convert each of the following temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit using your function. I'm not going to do these for you, so I'm going to do different ones. I'm going to call the convert temp function, and the temperature I want to start by converting is 0, because I know that 0 degrees Celsius is freezing, which should be 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So let me go back to my problem 4 page. I've created the function, I've called the function, I've misspelled the calling of the function, so I need to change that. Now I've called the function, and I'll refresh it. The temperature in Celsius is 0, the temperature in Fahrenheit is 32. Let's see, I know that it's been particularly hot over in Europe the last couple of summers, so maybe I want to see, what if it was like 45 degrees? It sounds really cold in Fahrenheit, but let's see what that is when you convert it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. All right, so if it says it's 45 degrees out while I'm traveling, I'm just going to hang out in the hotel and turn the AC on because it's 113 degrees. And you could convert a lot of different things. In fact, then the next problem you're going to be doing by yourself, you're going to be converting days to, or years to days. All right, for problem number 6, the last one that we're going to be doing together, it's a very common problem in maybe middle school math, that, and even high school math, right? That you'd be given two sides of a triangle, right triangle, and you'd have to convert, or you'd have to calculate the value of the hypotenuse. And sometimes your teacher gives you like a ton of practice problems, and it's super annoying because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. So the way I would do this is I'd write a computer code to do it. So here we go. I'm going to make problem 5, or problem 6.html. I'm going to copy and paste the overall structure. And now all that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the script. I'm going to be writing a new function, which is the find hypotenuse function. So I grab that from the toolbox. When you want to find the hypotenuse of a triangle, you need 2 parameters. You need to tell it what A is and what B is. So I'm going to put in A and B here. The name of my function is supposed to be find hypotenuse. And then the procedure goes here. So when I think about how I would actually find the hypotenuse, I usually find A squared. So let's let A squared, and I'll use camel case where I turn that into uppercase. Let A squared equal A times A. Let B squared equal B times B. So I'm just like mimicking the exact process I would do if I was doing this by hand. Okay, so C squared is going to be A squared plus B squared. And then the hypotenuse is C, so let C equal, and in JavaScript to find the square root of something, you do math.square root of that number. So C would be the square root of C squared. And now I'd like to display things. So let's grab the display function from our toolbox. So I'm going to display something a little more complicated. If A equals plus the value of A, and B equals plus the value of B, then display the hypotenuse is plus, which of these code words the variable stands for the hypotenuse? It's C, so I'm going to say plus C. All right, so let's see if this works. So I've taught it this more complex procedure, and this is really interesting. The computer now knows a procedure that maybe your teacher taught you very similarly when you were a little younger. So we've done kind of the job of the teacher here, and now let's do the job of the student and actually find some of these things. So let's find the hypotenuse for 3 and 4. So when A is 3 and B is 4, the first example here. So notice how A is 3, B is 4, the order actually matters. All right, so I think we have a guess of what we would get here from Algebra 2 maybe recently. It should be 5, I think. So let's show this in the browser. Open in browser. And so problem 6, if A equals 3 and B equals 4, the hypotenuse is 5. And what's nice about this is, even though I might have 1,000 problems on this, I can just change those numbers, and then refresh my page, and it will do it all for me. So this gets at the power of having computer code to do something, is you don't have to actually redo all of these steps. It does all of these steps every time you change the numbers. So let me do one more example here. It looks like 15 and 8 is the next one. So 15 and 8, save it, refresh it, and the hypotenuse is 17. This homework assignment would take me literally seconds to do now that we've coded this procedure. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you got a lot of coding done today. See you guys in class.